I'm not going to kiss the asshole of an asshole just because they're famous, you know?
Put that on the bumper sticker.
Yeah. If I didn't get out, it was gonna take my life. Casey Tyndall, Lainey Wilson were literally the first friends I met when I moved to town, and two of my best friends to this day. I mean, that's my family. Turkey hunting is probably my favorite. Duck hunting is a very, any bird hunting is my favorite. They're like, wring his neck. I was like, what? You didn't wring his neck.
G'day mates, it's your host Mary O'Neill Phillips, and you are listening to Country Outdoors Podcast.
G'day everyone and welcome back to Country Outdoors Podcast. I'm your host Mary O'Neill Phillips and we are coming to you from Chiefs on Broadway in Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you guys for tuning in wherever you are. We'd love for you to like, subscribe and share your comments. Now today's guest is an award-winning artist. Her journey tells the story of faith, healing and redemption. She is an outdoors woman and she is somebody who I adore so much. Welcome to the show, Meghan Patrick.
Hi.
Hi. I'm so excited to have you on. It's been a long time and
I know.
We've all been busy, but firstly, I just want to say it's been so nice to listen to the music that you've put out over the last few years. And I was listening to the final chapter of Golden Child over the last couple of days and gosh, there's so many different themes that are coming through the music, but it just feels like I want you to speak to it, but feels like a weight has been lifted off of your shoulders and probably I'm assuming started from when you got saved 2 years ago, and I want to go into that too, but wanted to kind of just touch on a couple of the songs that I had listened to that I truly loved.
Yeah.
Project number one. It gave me Lily Allen vibes.
Okay, I love that.
And a little Amy Winehouse, but it was so funny and I just loved it. And I saw like a comment saying that you were the new big sister in country music. And I was like, actually, I love that for you.
Yeah. Yeah, the big sister country thing, you know, I'm in a place where, you know, just truly in the last couple of years, I have done so much healing. And as you mentioned, I contribute that to my faith and to the Lord and just the healing that he's done in me. And, you know, when you go through such a big change like that, you get really introspective. And so I think, you know, this record is definitely by far the most introspective record, the most personal record I've made. Very kind of autobiographical. And it's really meant to be listened to top to bottom in order because it tells a story. I was very intentional about the way I ordered the songs and the songs that I chose for it. They all needed to speak to that kind of overlying theme of healing, of redemption, of self-awareness. And Project is definitely touching on the self-awareness part because it's like when you get into a habit of dating the same kind of toxic guy over and over again, it's, you know, it's not your fault that they treat you badly, but you have to at some point acknowledge, how do I keep ending up in these relationships and why do I keep being attracted to these type of men?
Yeah.
And
that one in particular gave me the big sister vibe because I felt like it was just like, it's something that you could hear your sister say, like, if you're that bored, like, go and just find another project. You don't need
get a hobby.
Loser. Like,
like, literally get a hobby that's gonna actually, you know, bring some joy into your life or learn a skill or, you know, something that's gonna be worth your time because I wasted so much time. Well, I shouldn't say wasted because I really am someone that believes everything happens for a reason and that we all go through what we go through because it's a lesson we need to learn.
Yeah.
And it's wisdom we need to gather. And, you know, for me, I had to learn that lesson a few times apparently. But that's the thing is like, I think I wanted to write that song, not from a place of judgment, but from a place of, hey, I've been there. And just like, trust me, you know, like all the time, I think about all the time I wasted on these guys. And I'm like, I could have been planting a garden. I could have been learning another instrument. I could have been out in the woods hunting. Like any of those things would have been better.
All right, guys, I have a confession to make. I have a terrible sense of direction and it's no wonder I haven't got lost in the woods or eaten by a bear at this stage, but there's a reason for that. And it's because I have Onyx Hunt. Onyx Hunt is incredible. It's an incredible mapping feature, and it has helped me navigate my way out of some pretty sketchy areas using the compass feature. I've been able to get back to my truck. I've been able to drop pins and waypoints to be able to coordinate how to get to A to B, to be able to find that turkey that I saw on the road and knock and get permission. Guys, though, if you really want to know who's a fanatic at dropping pins, it's my husband, Zach. If you look in his phone, he has thousands of these pins. If it was the 1920s, he'd be able to trade them and get some money out of them. But don't take my opinion. Go and download Onyx today and check it out for yourself. Good luck this fall.
If you had have known Christ back then, do you think you would have chosen the people you chose?
No, I don't. I mean, that's really hard to say because I can only speak as the person I was. But I do think that at the very root of why I was doing that, it was rooted in a lack of self-love and a lack of seeing what I was truly worth. And, you know, when you come into a relationship with the Lord and you realize how God sees you, and you realize how much you're worth. And, you know, I mean, Jesus died on the cross for us. You know, the most painful, horrific death you can imagine because he loved us so much. And it's like, man, I've got to learn how to love myself that much. That is, you know, and I used to think that was vanity, and it's actually the opposite. You know? That is being a good steward of the gifts that we've been given.
Yeah.
And, you know, I chased men like that because I didn't think I was worthy of better.
Yep.
And
I think that's so
now I know
relatable.
better.
How many of us girls have done that though? Like so many of us. I want to go back to you choosing to get saved and like how it led up to that, because it's just such a beautiful, pivotal moment in anyone's life who has gone through that. So,
you know, it was a long time coming. It was a long journey, but it was also, okay, let me start at the beginning. So, you know, I didn't grow up with any kind of religion, spirituality, like whatsoever. Like never went to church, had never been baptized. It was not like something my family talked about. It was not something I was exposed to. It was not something any of my friends talked about growing up. My only understanding of like religion or Christianity was honestly some really bad stereotypes from like movies and like media. And I saw it as just, it was the judgmental side, the hatred, you know, all of these things. And I was like, well, that's not me. And for me, what led me to God originally was I was in a really abusive relationship. It nearly took my life. And after the last time he put his hands on me, I mean, for one, I think that I had inhuman strength and courage in that moment to get out of that moment. Like, that should have been the end of my life, but God obviously had other plans. And when I got out, I realized, like, what the hell am I doing? You know, like, this is crazy. I had never been so low. Like, that was my rock bottom. Like, and at this point, I mean, I wasn't doing anything with my music. You know, I was living in this like crappy basement apartment. I was working at the beer store, like sorting empties and not doing anything with my music. I had no record deal. I hated myself, you know, like I felt like a loser. And so I dated a loser, you know, and when it clicked in my brain that like, if I didn't get out, it was gonna take my life. I just felt so alone. And one night I just the anxiety was just unreal. And I remember just thinking like, I don't even know what to do, where to turn. And I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. And I literally just got down on my knees one night and was like, God, I don't even know if you're real. I don't even know if you're there. And if you are, maybe it's too late. Like, how dare I now in my, you know, at the age of, I think I was like maybe 26, 27, like I've never spoken to you once in my life. And how dare I try and come to you now? But if you're there, just get me out of here. Like, just get me out. And he did. And every day since then, I had strength and courage I didn't know I could ever possess. And I got out. I went to the police. he was arrested and charged and convicted. And a couple of years later, I packed up everything I had and I moved to Nashville to just get a fresh start, clean slate, and to chase my career. And I remember like on the drive down to Nashville, one of my bandmates, he drove with me to help me move in and stuff. And I remember in my head, I was just praying like, God, this is crazy. Like, what am I doing? I don't even know anybody down here. Like, I hope this is the right choice. Like, just give me some kind of sign that this is what I should be doing, because all I knew is that I just didn't want to be there anymore.
Yeah.
You know, even though I had stood up to him, I had done everything, like there was just
Like a darkness.
there was a darkness there. Like it did not feel like home to me anymore. It did not feel like a safe, happy place to me anymore. There was too much there. And so I left, and I remember as I was praying, I'm like, just give me a sign that I'm doing the right thing. And the very first night I was in town, you know, we get in, Ollie and I'm like, let's just go get a beer somewhere, you know, and chill out. And before I had moved, our friend Casey Tyndall, you know, we had followed each other on Instagram. We'd never actually met. It was just kind of a like, oh, you like to hunt and your music's cool. Like, I like what you do. And, you know, we'd left comments on each other's things, but had never really met or talked. So we end up, we're at Basement East, and I'm standing in line to go in, and all of a sudden I hear, Megan Patrick? And I turn around, and there's Casey. She's like, hey, it's me, Casey Tyndall from North Carolina. What are you doing here? I thought you lived in Canada. And I was like, well, actually, like as of today, like I live here. I literally just packed up everything I had.
Escape convict.
Yeah, and she's like, oh my God, that is like the best news ever. She's like, you're like a real country girl, not one of these poser girls. Like you get out in the woods, like you like to hunt. She's like, oh my God, you got to meet my friend Lainey. She's gonna love you. And so Casey Tyndall, Lainey Wilson were literally the first friends I met when I moved to town, and two of my best friends to this day. I mean, that's my family. And to me, that was as good of a sign as any that I was in the right place at the right time, that I met these two women who just
Saw you.
immediately saw me and loved me and included me and wanted me in their lives. And also on top of that, just women of strong faith and believers. And they were a huge part of that journey for me, because at that time it was still so new. Like it was a very private thing to me. Like I hadn't told anybody that I was talking to God.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I remember, you know, one of the first times, because I mean, these are girls that grew up with it, you know, could recite the Bible verses and all that. And I felt almost like ashamed of that. Like I was embarrassed to admit that this was kind of a new thing for me, because also being here was such a culture shock, just being around so many people that speak so openly about their faith. Like that was weird not weird, but different to me.
Yeah.
And I told them one day, I was like, hey, so I got to be real with you. Like, this is a new thing. I just started talking to God a few months ago, you know, like not long ago.
Still think I'm crazy.
Yeah, I'm still wondering if I'm just crazy or if this is, you know, I don't really know what I'm doing. All I know is, you know, my life got better when I started talking to God.
Yeah.
And man, we had so many conversations just around Lainey's kitchen table, and, you know, they would pray over me and pray with me. And, you know, and that was when it really, I think just being around a community of people who, one, were always down to talk about it. I mean, I'll call Casey, I'll be reading a verse or something, and I'll call her, be like, what does this mean? What do you think about this? And she'll talk to me on the phone for hours, you know? And so that was a game changer for me. And then, you know, of course, meeting Mitchell, you know, he's a believer as well, and his family and everything. And when we got married, it was his high school football coach, actually, that married us. And I said, I'm like, Coach, you know, I'm thinking about getting baptized. I've never been baptized. I'd really like to get baptized in the river, though, not in a church, because for me, you know, that was a big part of my love for the outdoors too. You know, I did a lot of my best praying in tree stands and blinds, and I said, I want to be baptized in the river. And he's like, well, you just say the word when you're ready. So yeah, a few years back, I was baptized in the river, and it was that and my wedding. It was the best days of my life. And yeah, it changed everything for me in the best way.
Country Outdoors is proud to partner with Yingling.
the oldest brewery in America since 1829 and the official light lager of the outdoors. You know, a lot of us grew up with Field and Stream, dreaming about our next cast, our next hunt, and our next outdoor escape. And now you can read the best of outdoor storytelling the way it was meant to be read. Field and Stream is back in print. For a limited time, new members get a bonus journal with their first delivery, and premium members also get a members-only hat. This special offer is only available for a limited time, so join the 1871 Club today and head to fieldandstream.com/1871club. And the song that you put out, God and a Good Man, kind of speaks to both of those things, Mitchell and that. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great segue, actually, because I had the idea to write that song the day I decided I was going to get baptized. I had called Mitchell and I said, babe, I think I'm ready. And he was just so happy. He was tearing up and he's like, that's the best news I've ever heard. And I was going to write with Dallas Wilson and Tranny Anderson, who are just two of my best friends and also just such incredible believers, people I've had such great conversations with. And so I felt like they were the perfect people to write that song with, especially because, Dallas is like a brother to Mitchell. So, they've both watched us grow in our relationship. And, it was, to me, those were kind of the two things that just healed me. God first and foremost, obviously, but also Mitchell, like being loved by a man that healed pieces he didn't break, and who showed me that, that love is patient and kind, and, it doesn't keep score, and it's protection, not something to be scared of. And, that someone who truly loves you is someone you can be vulnerable with, and they're going to protect you in that moment, not use it against you.
Yeah.
And, that's where Safe Place to Break came from. Was just meeting someone. I think there's a lot of love songs that talk about the big romantic gestures and the flowers and the movie cinematic romance moments, but I think what a woman truly wants in a relationship and needs in a relationship is to feel safe. Physically, obviously, but emotionally and mentally and consistency, and knowing that person, like, you are number one to them. Your happiness, your health, your safety, your emotions are a priority to them, and that whoever you show up as, they love you the same. And I'd never had that before until I met Mitchell. So, and of course, God has his hand in all of that.
For sure.
So that was the inspiration for that song.
I love it. I saw a Matthew McConaughey clip this morning, actually, and it kind of was speaking to that, and like how what we need to really be talking about, rather than these like big explosive loves that like, that's what we should be constantly chasing. It's just not realistic. What we should be talking about is the constant dim light, the glow that just glows constantly, and it's just as beautiful and more powerful.
Yeah, real love is quiet sometimes.
Yeah.
It's subtle,
Yeah.
That's
beautiful. I want to talk about the advocacy work, though, that you've and the shows that you've done over the last couple of years, because I think that is also just so important that you've taken, and you didn't have to do that, but you have chosen to take the pain and the lessons and be an advocate and raise awareness for domestic violence.
Yeah. I think if you had asked me 10 years ago if I ever thought I could look back on that time in my life and feel grateful for it, I would have thought that was a crazy thing to say.
Yeah.
But I am, because it didn't kill me. It did make me stronger. And I think, I often, my goal in life is to step into my God-given identity and his plan for me. And, much like, you look at like addicts or alcoholics, the best person that they can talk to that's going to help them through their addiction is someone who's lived it, who's been in the trenches with them, because they understand and they've lived it. And I think the same goes for me. I think that I'm able to be a good advocate for survivors of domestic violence because I have lived it, and because I understand it. I understand the mentality and how even the smartest, strongest, most incredible women can end up in that situation. And because before that, I was one of those women who's like, well, I would never do that.
Yeah.
I would never let a man do that. I would never.
This is what I would do if that happened to me.
Right.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're in it. And when you understand the level of like emotional abuse and manipulation and gaslighting and all of it, that the groundwork that's laid before they ever lay a finger on you. The grooming, it's like then you understand how there is not a woman on earth who is immune to that. And that's, I mean, it's the proof is in the statistics. And especially now, you know, living in Tennessee, I mean, Tennessee has one of the worst domestic violence rates in the country.
Yeah.
And
what do you attribute that to?
I don't know if I'm qualified to speak on that. I don't know.
You think it's like alcohol related?
I definitely think substance abuse is a big part of it, for sure. I mean, I know that was the case in my situation. I think it can be cultural as well.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, I mean, I work in an industry where those kind of men are celebrated and protected every day.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's hard because as a woman, it's like, it's hard enough to be in this industry. It's hard enough to get opportunities. And if you start saying, oh, I'm not going to work with, you know, if I said I wasn't going to work with every man that was a cheater, liar, abuser in this town, wouldn't be a lot of people. There wouldn't be a lot of people to work with, you know, but I do draw the line. You know, there are opportunities that I've turned down. There are people that I will not work with. I don't care how famous they are. I'm not going to kiss the asshole of an asshole just because they're famous, you know.
Put that on the bumper sticker.
Yeah.
I ain't kissing the asshole of an asshole.
Because there are things that matter more and that are bigger than the industry. And again, at the end of the day, God will provide for me.
For sure.
And especially when I am standing strong in who he has called me to be, which is a truth teller, a warrior, or someone who creates music that is healing to others and inspires and empowers others, especially women, to stand up for themselves and to accept nothing less than what they deserve. And that goes for men too. Women can be abusers too.
For sure.
You know, my worst abuser, my first abuser in my life was my own mother, you know, and I spoke on that on the record too. And that's uncomfortable for some people to hear. It's uncomfortable for some people to talk about, which is exactly why I talked about it, not out of spite, not to hurt her. Listen, I have forgiven her. I have love and grace for her. I don't have a relationship with her. Because
was there any accountability taken after that?
No. And actually, I'll segue this into another one of the songs on the record, You For Me. I think one of the toughest parts of my journey and my faith in the last year was realizing, you know, I started the healing process with songs like Blood from a Stone and Whether You Love Me or Not. And at the time, that was a monumental step for me to even just say it out loud and make the decision that I was going to learn how to love myself, whether or not the people who were supposed to love and protect me did or not. And I realized as I got further down that journey, that the sort of final boss of healing is forgiveness.
Yeah.
And God was, and I realized I couldn't get around that. I couldn't ignore that. If God calls us to it, it's everywhere in the Bible. And, you know, I struggled with that for a long time because I used to view forgiveness as it was like letting the other person off the hook. It was like telling them that what they did was okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, how am I supposed to do that when they haven't even said they were sorry, when they haven't even taken accountability, when the behavior hasn't changed, you know? And part of what changed my mind and what inspired that song was actually, I watched this interview with JB Mooney, who's, world-class bull rider. A few years back, got on a bull named Arctic Assassin, got bucked off, broke his neck, ended his career, which, as you know, I was a competitive snowboarder for years before I went full-time into music, and also had a similarly really tragic, I didn't break my neck, but I broke my back, and, should have been paralyzed. Thank God,
Yeah.
that was another time that before I even knew it, God
had
had his hand on me. Absolutely. Yeah. And I remember how I felt in that moment. I was depressed. I was angry. I was bitter. I was resentful. I felt like everything I wanted had just been like ripped away from me. And I thought about JB in that moment of like being at the top of his game and it just being over in a split second like that. But in the interview, he was very just like matter of fact about it, and kind of like he was at peace, and I'm like, what's this guy's deal,
Yeah.
And he's doing this interview, he's on his farm and he's petting this bull and everything, and you come to find out that the bull is Arctic Assassin. He bought the bull that broke his neck and ended his career, and he's taking care of it on his farm. And I thought, wow, talk about forgiveness, talk about, and I realized that it was like, the way he talked about it, I think they had asked him, and I'm obviously paraphrasing, but, like, how could you do that? Why would you do that? He's like, well, I can't be mad at the bull for just doing what a bull does, and it's like, we have a choice. Happiness is a choice. As easy as it is to find things to be upset about and angry about and bitter about, it's just as easy to find something to be grateful for. And choose to make the best of the cards that you're dealt. And that was his attitude about it. And I thought that was really beautiful. And it got me thinking, hurt people hurt people. And
change the cycle.
And it's like, I don't want to, and then the way that, like, I don't want to do that to somebody else. And God willing, if I'm a mother one day, that cycle's got to end with me.
For sure.
I don't ever want to do that to my own children. And
the thing is, hurt people, but God also gave us free will.
Yep. And I just was like, I realized too, forgiveness is not for the other person.
For sure.
It's for you.
Yeah.
It's not saying what you did is okay. It's saying what you did was horrible. It hurt me. It deeply damaged me. But I'm not going to let it own me. I'm not going to let you take that pain and give it to me to carry. I'm not going to carry that for you. And while I'm going to acknowledge the pain that it caused and validate the feelings I have around it, I'm not going to let it define me. And I realized how tired I was of being angry, of being bitter, of being resentful. And, and God was calling me to it. And, they say it can be hard to hear God and to move forward in your life when you're holding on to unforgiveness. It's like there's a saying, like, holding on to that unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. And so, and I'm not saying that it was easy to forgive. And also, forgiveness is not a destination.
Right.
It is a journey.
Yeah.
And some days I get angry and upset all over again. And I have to kind of restart that process. But it is a process that I will restart, and I will be mindful of when I feel that anger creeping in, because I remember that is not who I am. That is not who God has called me to be. That is not who I want to be. I don't want to be an angry person. I want to be a happy person, a joyful person, a grateful person. Because, that is something that that's what I put out into the world. That's the legacy I leave here on earth, is how I make other people feel and what I put into my music. Music is, you make a song and you put it out into the world, you never know who's listening. And you never know whose life you could change. Music has changed my life. There's songs that I've heard that have changed my life, that have saved me, that have been, everything I needed in my hardest moments. And if I can create music that has that kind of impact on the people who listen to it, I think that's a beautiful legacy.
What has your sister said about the music that you've put out, and does it resonate with her too?
Yeah, for sure. And, my sister, I I don't want to speak on her experience, you know, that's for her to talk about, but if she ever wants to. But I will say this, you know, despite the attempts to push us away from each other and separate us, my sister and I are best friends. You know, that's my best friend, and it's honestly the only other person in the world that truly understands me and knows everything I've been through, and vice versa. And I'm incredibly proud of the woman that she's become, the mother that she is to her kids. And you know, our experiences were different, but I mean, her strength is inspiring to me. And you know, we have our own ways of dealing with it, and hers is a little more internal. But I'm a songwriter, I'm an entertainer, a musician, and so, you know, she understands that's my way of processing. That's my way of dealing with it, and she's always supportive and always proud of me. And you know, she's someone that I really lean on. You know, when it came down to, like, she was one of the first. I think she was probably the first person I sent some of those songs to, and I was like, "What do you think about this? Like, should I put this out?" Because I was scared. I mean, yeah, like, as much as I was angry with my mother, I don't want to hurt her. That was never my goal. That was not what it was for. But it was the truth.
Yeah.
It was the truth. And that's what my sister said. And she was like, if you think that you can, she's like, you might get some pushback. There might be some people that have something to say about it. She said, but I know it's true. You know it's true. And she said, I think it'll help more people than anything. And she said, if you're going to do that, I'm really proud of you.
That's awesome.
So yeah, my sister is awesome. She's my best friend.
To 100, I don't think I lose my enthusiasm.
I want to go into, because obviously this is country outdoors with Field and Stream. And so I want to go back into your story of becoming a hunter. I know it, but for the people that don't, I just think it's a really cool story, and inspiring to help others get into, you know, the outdoors too. And I know life gets busy now, you're on the road, and you know, but you also bought your property and all of that stuff. And I just think, like, you're setting yourself up in a beautiful space. So tell us about your first hunt. And then just why you love being a sportswoman, and the property, and what your goals are. Because I know like I think it was like a couple years ago when you bought it, you're like, I want to shoot a turkey on the property and blah, blah, blah.
Which I just want to say,
I haven't done yet.
For the first time since we got that property in the last week, we have seen several toms on our property, and I am so excited about it.
So I will say this, I think during the pandemic, so many people hunted Tennessee that they whacked and stacked them. And I think there was a massive decline in numbers.
I agree.
And I can't speak to that like as a conservationist who's studied that. But I have seen a lot of birds around this
field
year.
Experience,
Field experience. I've seen a lot of birds around. Even our old house that we just sold in Donaldson, there was like turkeys all through the wood. Like everywhere in the wood. And Zach and I were selling it. We were like, they know we've left.
Everybody went back to work. They think it's safe now. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And you know, turkey hunting is probably my favorite. Duck hunting is a very, any bird hunting is my favorite. We've got deer, and I like to deer hunt too. Not quite as much as I love bird hunting, but you know, we had tons of deer on our property, but I had never seen any turkeys up there, and I was kind of disappointed about that. But then, literally just in the last couple of weeks, there's been tons of them up there, so I'm very excited about that.
That's awesome.
I cannot wait for spring to come. But yeah, we were just so blessed to find the most perfect, beautiful 10 acres, a little outside of town.
Little slice of heaven.
Yeah, we've built our forever home out there, and I love it. And you know, honestly, the last couple years I've been on the road so much that a lot of my time at home has gone more to kind of working on the land as opposed to hunting it. And
For sure.
Just, you know, getting everything where we want it, but which I find so much joy in that too, and
sure.
which will lead me to, you know, how I got into it. I mean, I've been a nature girl since the beginning. I grew up in the woods. You know, pretty much if you were looking for me, I was down at the creek, like fishing or building some kind of fort out in the woods. Like, I just loved being in the outdoors. And, but I didn't grow up with anybody
She
that
grew up
hunted.
in Canada, guys, by the way, so she doesn't have the accent anymore. But
Yeah, it's, I still say A, you know.
Did you see there's a Tim Hortons in Dawdleston now?
I did not. You know, this might make me a bad Canadian.
You hate Canada.
No, I don't hate Canada. I love Canada. I think Tim Hortons is terrible, though. I don't think it's good.
It's like Starbucks. I mean, do you know what I mean? And I'm not a Starbucks girl either. It's just like, I mean, we also
I like my mom and pop shops.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah. Support your local bow store.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so, you know, I didn't, as much as I grew up very much outdoorsy, it did not include hunting. And it wasn't until I was like in my mid-20s, and, you know, a lot of the guys that I grew up with, they got into, you know, hunting, fishing and stuff. And we would go fishing together, have a great time. And I remember it was fall, and I was like trying to go out bass fishing, and everybody's like, oh, it's bow season, like they're out hunting. And I'm like, okay, well, like, what, you know, what's that all about? And my buddy Russ had invited me over to his house. He's like, hey, come over, we're gonna smoke a bunch of meat and hang out. And he had cooked up like venison, some duck breasts. Like, I'd never had any wild game before, and he gave me some to try, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, what is this? This is so good. And he's like, oh, that's venison, that's duck breast. I'm like, so you went out and just like hunted this, like you shot this yourself? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, that's cool. I'm like, would you take me? And he's like, yeah, of course. And so now in Canada, it's a bit of a process. It takes quite a while to get your gun license and hunting license. And I was like, okay, next season, I'm like, I'm going tomorrow. I'm applying, I'm getting it. We're going next season. So the following spring, I just got my license. It was turkey season. And he took me out for my first hunt. We didn't see anything. But the whole experience, the getting up early, the finding the spot, creeping in all quiet, watching the sun come up. He was like doing all the calls and stuff. And I was just like, what is this? This is crazy. Yeah. And we left, and he was like, man, I'm really sorry. He's like, did you hate it? And I was like, no, like, can we go again tomorrow? And he's like, yeah. And, you know, I actually never got a turkey that year, but the following fall, he was going duck hunting with some buddies. He's like, why don't you come with us? And so I was the only girl at the camp, but these are all guys that I grew up with, you know, so I felt comfortable, and they were awesome. They were giving me all the points and pointers and tips and stuff. And I remember the first morning, it's like opening day, first light, and there's a single mallard coming in. They're like, all right, Megan, you got this. And I was like, God, please.
Please don't embarrass me.
Please don't let me miss this bird. And I didn't. I got him, knocked him down, and I was like so excited. And we were kind of hunting over this like flooded, swampy kind of thing, but I had shot him, and he flew like onto the land, and they're like, go get him. And I went over, I'm like, he's still moving. They're like, wring his neck. I was like, what? You wring his neck. I was like, what do you mean? And he comes running over, and I was like, oh, but I was trying to pretend like this was not
cool.
I was like, yeah, this is fine. And so I'm not gonna lie, it was a little crazy for me at first. I'm like, wow, okay. And but, you know, we had a great hunt. We go back to the camp, and he showed me how to breast them, how to clean them. We cooked it. We ate it that night. And I was like, dude, this is so cool.
Yeah, I'm home.
And I just loved the whole process. I loved it was the beautiful sunrises, the excitement, the camaraderie, and like they were all excited for me, and just learning. Like, I just thought it was the coolest, most natural thing a person could do, to go out into the woods, hunt something, clean it, cook it, and eat it with your friends. Like, I just loved it. And so I was pretty much hooked after that, and tried to hunt anything and everything I could. And, you know, it was cool. And I was really lucky because, you know, I think it can be really tough for women to get into it, especially if you don't grow up with like a dad or a brother or like a family member who's going to take you out. I was super lucky to have some
intimidating.
It's intimidating for sure, you know, because you're always wondering like if there's some guy at the camp, and I've been to camps where like, oh, why is there a girl here, you know? And it's like, okay, sorry you hate your wife, but anyway, I just
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't be that guy. And it's like, listen, I'm here for the same reason as you are. I just want to enjoy being in the woods and do some hunting.
Just because I'm in camp doesn't mean I want to sleep with you.
Yes, please. Actually, never. I've never once wanted to or have. And it's also it's intimidating too, because like I'm the type of person, I don't care. I have no shame. I will ask a million questions.
Yeah.
I'm not somebody that's gonna pretend like I know something I don't.
Which is great.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And
how you learn.
And you should be able to, like, anybody who's making you feel stupid for asking questions.
It's a you problem.
They're a jerk. It's like,
For sure.
it's like, oh, Tyler, did you come out of the womb knowing everything about hunting? No.
Yeah.
And so I was just always really blessed to be surrounded by so many guys and women too, that like, they were not annoyed by my questions.
Yeah.
They loved how excited I was about it. They loved talking about it and explaining things to me. Like I would ask questions about every little thing they were doing.
Yeah.
Well, why are you setting these decoys like this? Why are we doing this stand instead of this stand? Why this? Why that?
Yeah.
Because I genuinely wanted to understand everything about it and learn as much as I could and be a great hunter, you know, and especially, and I think part of why fell in love with turkey hunting so much, because it was one of the things that I could go out and do by myself.
For sure.
You don't even necessarily need a decoy. You can just go out in the woods and you can chase them. You can call them.
You can carry it on your back.
You can carry it on your back.
Yeah.
You don't need somebody to come out and help you drag it out. Like it's, and that was something that was really appealing to me as one, someone who always wanted to be an independent woman, but also the solitary of it. I love being able to go out and like, for me in my head, it was like the prepper in me that's like, if shit gets weird, I can survive on my own.
Verizon went down nationwide yesterday, and that was me. I was like, how long do I leave it before these losers don't realize what's going on and I'm in my bunker?
Yeah. Yeah. But no, it's something that I love, and I've made some great friendships and relationships through the hunting world, and it's like a reset button and an escape for me when I'm on the road and just working a ton. I just love the fact that I can, get out into the woods. I don't have to get done up. I don't have to look like Meghan Patrick, the artist. I can just kind of just put on my camo and a hat and, just go out there and relax. And I always feel like I reconnect with God when I'm out there. I do a lot of good thinking and praying out in the woods. So yeah, it's become a really big part of my life.
I love it. And Mitchell obviously loves the outdoors and stuff too. You got really into golf the last couple of years too, didn't you?
Yeah, and honestly, that was largely because of Mitchell. He's a great golfer.
So I have never played golf. I've always been the golf cart girl, and mostly because of the intimidation thing. Like I felt like, oh, there's so many guys, and then if I get good, the guys aren't going to want to play with me anyway, because like I'm going to be holding them back and blah, blah, blah. So like, okay, so walk us through how you got into golf and give me some tips.
Well, first of all, most guys are not as good at golf as they say they are.
Yeah.
They're all full of shit.
But what?
But no, I got into it because, Mitchell loved it. And, we went on a family trip and he wanted to go golf. And he was like, well, I want you to come with me. And I was like, look, I'll come with you. But if I'm going to go, like, I'm going to play. And the thing is, yes, if you're a beginner, you have to know when to just pick up your ball. Like, you got to keep up the pace of play. But don't be embarrassed by it. Like, again, nobody comes out of the womb, man or woman, knowing these things. They are skills that you have to acquire and that you have to learn and that you can only get good at by getting out there and doing it.
Yeah.
And again, any man that's trying to make you feel bad for not coming out like Tiger Woods, he's an insecure weirdo. Like, don't golf with that guy then.
Yeah.
But honestly, like most of the guys that I've been around, they're awesome. They love it. They're excited for you. Like they just love the game, just like the guys that love hunting. They love to just watch anybody, man or woman, get excited about something that they're passionate about. And, find other people that are beginners too and go out with them and you just learn. But for me, I love it. It's something Mitchell and I can do together as a couple.
You?
Yeah. For sure, like him and just other friends that I've been with. Terry Clark, I've golfed with her. She taught me a lot of stuff too, and Yeah, I mean, when we go on vacation, we're people that like to do activities when we go somewhere.
Yeah.
So, golfing is something we can kind of do anywhere we go.
Yeah.
It's, you get outside, you get some exercise, get a little competitive, you know. And also, I always tell women, like, from a business perspective.
But that's what I was going to say. Like, it seems like all the meetings happen on the
That's
golf
what I'm
course.
saying. I'm like, do you know how many male artists are out there with radio guys, promoters, out there like broing out and getting opportunities because of those moments and those relationships that they're making on the course? Like, I was like, I want that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do that,
Yeah.
So I think I'm all for encouraging women to get into it and do it. And you know what? Like I said, you just got to walk in with confidence and be like, yeah, I'm a beginner. I'd love some tips. I'd love some pointers. And just know when to pick up just know when to pick up your ball.
If you're single, maybe you find yourself a rich husband.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, you just go out there, you do your best. If people are, you pay attention to the pace of how everybody else is playing. If you've hit it 6 times and you're still not on the green, just pick up your ball and putt. Like, there's no shame in that. That's how everybody has to learn. So
okay, that's good advice. I might give it a go this year then, because it's been something I've been thinking about, and I keep seeing more and more people. Okay, yeah, perfect. I'd love that. We should get Sydney. Sydney got into it, I think, about 2 years ago too, and she's becoming pretty good at it. And
I feel like Sydney's one of those people that's just good at everything she tries. So
don't tell her that. That's awesome. Okay, I've got a couple questions here for you.
Okay. Best advice you've been given?
Don't kiss an asshole's asshole.
That was my own advice.
Best advice I've been given.
I think, the one that comes to mind, first time I met Garth Brooks, actually, he had asked me if I had a band. And I said, yeah, I've got a great band, guys I've played with for a long time. And he said, good. And he said, any player worth a damn can learn your songs and play them. But the people you go on the road with is your family. And, what they do on the stage for the 45 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever, that's one thing. But you got to spend the other, 23 hours of the day with them. And he said, so make sure that they're people you want to spend that time with and take care of them. And I really took that to heart. My band is my family, and the people I take on the road, I love those guys and they love me. And it's hard being away from home, being away from your family and your friends and stuff. And it's a lot better when you're with people that you love and trust.
Did you ask Garth where the bodies are?
That's why I almost didn't say it, because I was like, do we want to open this can of worms?
Your girl's a conspiracy theorist with the rest of them.
Listen, I can't speak to that, but
I die on those posts. If all you guys have to do is just go to any Garth Brooks post on social media and click into the comments, and there's a good conspiracy around that.
Yeah, I'll be honest, when I met, this was a long time ago, I didn't know anything about the bodies at the time, so.
There's literally a guy on social media who's like dedicated to researching Garth Brooks's like complete movements, and has connected all these missing people to shows that he's done, and it is wild.
Wow.
So I ain't saying he did it, but there is some information out there. Some people think that he has the bodies buried in his mansion in Tennessee. All I know is Garth Brooks, I think it was Garth Brooks, owns a property it was a property that Zach used to have turkey hunting access to, and then when he bought it, Zach wasn't able to hunt it anymore, so Zach does not like Garth Brooks.
Listen, I don't, I knew I shouldn't have said that. I never shouldn't have opened that can of worms.
Where are the bodies, Garth? Okay, take another one.
All right. What do you look to or lean on for guidance? That's an easy answer.
Yeah.
God. Every choice I make in my career, in my life, I pray about it. I look for answers in the Word. There's always answers there, and if you seek Him, He will answer.
Since 1973, the National Wild Turkey Federation has been working tirelessly to conserve the wild turkey and to preserve our hunting heritage.
Today, the need for hunters to get involved is just as important as the wild turkey is facing declines, and the continuation of our outdoor pursuits are at risk in many parts of the country. Visit nwtf.org and join for just $35 to leave a lasting legacy that will help conserve wildlife and unite a nation through life-changing power of the outdoors. I've got one more of these and then I want to ask you one myself.
Okay. I mean, isn't that what you've been doing this whole time?
I mean, I did write these. I did. Wait, let me just write one more.
A challenging time you overcame. I mean, we obviously talked about one of them, but I would say probably about 4 or 5 years ago, you know, right around the pandemic, which granted was a challenging time for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It was especially challenging for me. I lost my first record deal and had a extremely expensive, contentious parting of ways with somebody that I worked with. It was the first time in my life I allowed myself to even consider that maybe I had gone as far as I was going to go, that maybe I wasn't good enough to do this, to keep pursuing my music career. Yeah, it was really devastating. And then, you know, add on top of that the fear that was being mainlined into our veins day after day through the media, and you know, the world is coming to an end, and not being able to, I didn't have that lifeline of getting out on the road and playing shows and that personal connection with the fans, and you know, everything was just so uncertain in every single way for me in that time. But you know, much like the other rock bottom moment of my life, it pushed me into kind of a new version of myself, a new chapter, where I kind of, and actually I can kind of, as a, we'll forget about the Garth thing. One of the people that gave me some really good advice during that time was Terry Clark. And I remember I was on the phone with her. I called her. I might have had a few sad drinks, you know, and I was just like feeling so defeated. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I feel like I have worked so hard for so long and I just can't get there. I just keep falling short. And, you know, Terry had said, well, do you want to quit, or you think you should because you haven't like won yet? And I said, well, of course I don't want to quit. She's like, do you still love it? And I said, yes, of course. And she said, okay, well, you know, she's like, do you feel like you have made the exact music or record that you want to make? Or do you feel like you've always kind of conceded to the people around you and, you know, done whatever you thought you needed to do to be successful? And I was like, well, yeah, I have done that. And she goes, well, she said, I think that you're one of the hardest working people I know. I think you're one of the most talented people I know. And she said, but I don't think you've ever really truly yet shown your true self. I don't think you've, you know, really truly put that into your music. And I think if you're ever going to do it, now's the time. You know, if you're rock bottom, there's nowhere to go but up. You know, you have nothing to lose, right? And she said, I think you just need to be like really bold and brave in whatever you do next, and make it just really honest and true to yourself. And that was the beginning of creating Golden Child. That was where the whole concept for that record and a lot of those songs came from. It was what led me to write Blood from a Stone, which was, you know, when I wrote that song, I mean, that was the first time I ever even said some of that stuff out loud, let alone putting it into a song. And it was kind of like, once I wrote that, I'm like, well, I can say anything now. If I can say that, I can say anything. And yeah, that it just, everything I did after that had to meet a standard of, you know, it was something I would pray about and I would ask God for guidance on. And it's like, is this honest? Is this true? Is this authentic? Is this what I want? Is this who I am? Or is this who I think I need to be successful?
Yep.
Is this what I want to say? Or is this what I think I should say to be successful? And I don't even know if I should say ironically. It should be obvious, I guess. But that record has given me more success in my career and more fans than I've ever had. And so as painful and as scary and as frustrating as that time in my life was, it was entirely necessary to my growth and necessary for me to get to that kind of next level and that next chapter. Because there was no way for me to move past that if I continued to operate from a place of fear and like needing that validation and worrying about what people were going to think and worrying about everybody else's opinions about who I needed to be or what I needed to say to be successful. Because the truth is, nobody knows.
No.
Nobody knows in this industry. There's lots of people that act like they do, but all they know is what's already worked for somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm me.
Yeah.
And you have to get comfortable with being almost having an almost delusional level of confidence in yourself and what you're creating, because the reality is in the beginning, there will be people who don't get it, who don't agree with it, who think it won't work. And you just have to be comfortable with being the only one who gets it for a little while. And then you start proving them wrong. And then all of a sudden they believed in you all along.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Meghan, for coming on. Guys, Golden Child, the next chapter is out now. You can check out tour dates for 2026. Go and stream her music. It is a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks for having me.